Hi everyone, how you going? Just give it a couple of minutes and I'll start. I've got a hell of a story for you here. Continuation of another story that we've been covering for now near on 2 years. All right, and you would have heard the story of the lady that we've been assisting with, who was from Ceduna, that's been absolutely run through hell and back. All right, and is now out of Ceduna, but is now starting to try and go for a wellbeing exemption to get off the card. So, Penny Wong's office has been helpful and passed on the information to the department, who today, a social worker, and I won't name her, rang and was quite nasty, very unhelpful. All right, so this particular person is recovering from heart surgery. She is on bed rest and recovery for the next 6 weeks. She can't buy her medications by phoning up and ordering them and getting them delivered, which means she has to get out of bed. She's on a walker frame. She's got stitches and all sorts of problems, right? And she has to hobble away to the chemist when she's not supposed to be even walking, right? But they don't care. They don't care, right? And at the moment, you know, online in Ceduna, she could have rang the Terry White chemist and they would have done the transaction and they would have organised somebody to drop her medication off. But where she is, they're not prepared to do that for her. Same company, Terry White, but they just they don't want to do it. So this social worker rings and straight away racially profiles this woman. Now, this woman's relatives are Aboriginal, but this woman is fair skin and does not identify as Aboriginal on any paperwork, has never identified as Aboriginal. So, excuse me, I'm a bit congested. I've been out and about today and I get like this with the humidity here sometimes. So, she assumed that this person was Aboriginal and advised her to go to an Aboriginal service centre and ask to see an Aboriginal support worker. Why would a non-Aboriginal person do that, or someone who does not identify? And like she said to me, when she lived in Ceduna, she couldn't access Aboriginal services because she's fair-skinned and does not identify as Aboriginal. That meant the school bus for the kindy for the kids and stuff like that. Couldn't access that sort of support. So this lady asked for everything in writing, right? She asked, could you please send me a referral email, right, listing for my social worker what I need to do, because this person has a learning disability as a result of an injury and has trouble with reading and comprehension. And this woman was really horrible. Right, because, you know, she explained that she's bedridden and she needs it all in writing as to who she needs to see, who she needs to ring, what bank statements are required, what documents or supporting evidence is she required to collect, right, so she can give it to her social worker, and what help. She needs a letter of referral, right, to be able to give this to her own. And the woman turns around and says, I'm not willing to write that down for you. I'm not willing to do that for you. Simple. I'm not going to do that for you. How horrendous. Now, this lady is on a disability support pension. She's also a sole parent. She has had her life has been horrendous. It's been trauma. Right? She should never have been put on the cashless debit card. She should never have been forced from WA by a a women's shelter and told, you either go to Ceduna or Bundaberg and that's your choices, right? And then as soon as she arrived at the refuge in Ceduna, she was put on the cashless debit card. This is horrendous treatment of people. But now we've got a situation. This woman had heart surgery last week. She is bedridden, right? She doesn't have NDIS supports. She's relying on people from the church to come and drop food off and stuff like that. But she doesn't have any official in-home supports. She still has 3 small children to look after as well. She's got stitches and bruising everywhere, and she's incapacitated. And they don't care. Right? And she can't access a medication online to get it delivered. She can't get click and collect for Coles because they don't do delivery for food. Right? This is ridiculous. She can't transfer money to other people to go and do shopping for her. Right? We've heard this before, haven't we, this week? From another lady who's just come out of surgery in Brisbane that had a COVID scare and is in isolation. Has exactly the same problems. Can't order medication online. Can't get shopping because Indu won't allow transfer of her money to her normal account for her to be able to transfer money to friends and family outside to go and do shopping for her. Right, this is disgusting. And anything in the Hervey Bay region that gets delivered is going to have a $15 fee on it. Right, this is disgusting what they're doing to people, and it has to stop. It has to stop. The other thing with this particular social worker, she was very, very snarky, right? Assumed that this person was Aboriginal, right? And then assumed, and this person pulled her up and said I was illegally put on the card, because even the minister has turned around and said that nobody who's fleeing domestic violence is on the card. We don't put domestic violence, you know, escapees on the cashless debit card, which I know is total rubbish, because 90% of the women that I've dealt with on this page, in the last 3 years, many stories I couldn't publish due to privacy, due to women being in hiding from domestic violence, are all on the damn card. So the minister's talking out of her, you know what I mean? Oh, it drives me nuts. It drives you nuts too. And I really do feel for the woman, because, again, this is not fair. This is deliberate. But then to have this smarmy social worker, supposed to be a social worker, you're supposed to be supportive, right? Yeah. People in the electorate of Grey, vote Rowan Ramsey out, because he's the one responsible for that region up there, okay? So, she was told by this support worker, well, you were obviously listed as a vulnerable Aboriginal. That's why you've been put on the cashless debit card. And this person says, I don't have a criminal history, not even a parking ticket. I don't drink. I don't take drugs, right? I don't play the pokies, right? There was no reason to put me on the card. Oh, but I'll take your paperwork into an Aboriginal office and get an Aboriginal social worker to sort it out for you. Seriously? Oh, this is what people are being subject to. Now, the other lady that's had surgery in Brisbane, right? She contacts me this morning. She has a little bit of an issue with I'll read her situation, because it's a fair comment that she's asked, a very good question that she's asked, right? Because she's had some problems with the card regarding refunds. We get a lot of people who have problems with Coles delivery online service, and if there's a stuff up, they double dip and they take double payments, and it takes weeks to get the second payment refunded back to the Indu cashless debit card. All right, but this time, all right, this lady got a, I'll say it's a notification from a pharmacy in the region that she's in, right, in regards to the free rapid test situation, dot points. Government took my prepaid supply that was due on Monday. Free test system is due to start next week, but the actual supply to the pharmacy is not until the first week of February. My pharmacy supplier is asking for $35,000 upfront payment to guarantee this supply. All right? So the pharmacy's solution to this is I will set up a pre-purchase form here, and she gives people a link. Right? If you're entitled to a free supply, I will refund your $60 pre-purchase the day you collect, because I can claim for my payment through the system being set up. All right, anyone that is also already prepaid will get the first allocation refunded back to their cards. All right. So this prompted this lady to come back and ask me, how will this work for Indu holders as refunds normally get declined? And I thought, well, I know there's big delays with refunds back to the card. It's not like my card where if I was to cancel something or get a refund from Big W, the money's on my card instantly. That doesn't happen with Indu card holders. But she asked me how long would it normally take, because she's had 2 times where she's had to get refunds through Coles, and it's been rejected by Indu, and it's ended up in a big dispute, and she's ended up having to fight to get cash back. So she's a little bit worried about pre-ordering and prepaying for RATS tests. And this is another lady who is also in isolation, right? Because she's come out of surgery, come home, and suspected COVID. At the moment, she's tested negative, but she's still got to wait for the next test. Do you know what I mean? And she's very sick. But her Indu card was knocked back twice for refunds back onto it for the Coles service desk at Pyalba, right? Which is Harvey Bay. And she was, you know, she was thinking it, and it happened on a 3rd occasion, but she can't remember there. She's on a temporary card, and she has been for well over 12 months. She's requested numerous times for a new card to be sent out, and she's never got one. So she's just stuck on a temporary card. They just won't send her a new card. All right? So my question to people out there, if you've had delays with refunds going back onto your Indo card, what was it for and how long did it take? And have you ever had a situation where your refund's been refused? You've had to fight with the particular business to try and get a cash refund, or you've actually lost your money. Right? Now, this particular person in Harvey Bay has the same problem. She can't order meds online. She can't transfer cash, right, to her account to be able to give cash to family or friends to go and pick up medications or go and do shopping, right? And any shopping that she does do or anything is going to incur a $15 fee. Or they did suggest that she utilise their RTGS, which is like an instant payment, but then she would be suffering a fee from, if it's Westpac, it's $20 fee to receive that money. If it's NAB, it's $10. All the banks have different fee charges for receiving that money that way, but she was told point blank she would be refused that anyway. All right. You know, I remember way back, I'm going back 30 years, you could ring a taxi to go and do things like this, but you get charged the taxi fare there and back and the cost of whatever. And the taxi driver would go in and pick the stuff up and bring it back to you, but you paid the taxi fare for the whole lot. That's very expensive, right? Why have I got 2 people in 2 different states that are bedridden, that are just fresh out of surgery, that have life-threatening health issues, that need medications, right? And they can't access them because they're on a cashless debit card. Senator Ann Ruston, you said you didn't put people fleeing domestic violence on a cashless debit card, but you do, and you did. And this person is trying to rebuild a life and heal, and the Indu cashless debit card has destroyed any chance of that happening because the mental strain, she cannot heal. And the comment I quote from this woman, "I can't cope with not being human anymore," is her comment, because that's how she feels on the cashless debit card. That is how she's made to feel. And when she has to get herself out of the bed and she has to get on her walking frame and she has to trudge to the chemist, and they won't even give her a seat to sit on because they did it to her the other day when she had to go and get meds, right? She has to try and stand for 30 minutes. And she's looked at, because of the bruising and things that she's got at the moment, as if she's some drunk Aboriginal that's been in a fight type thing, which is not fair. She's not Aboriginal. She's fair-skinned. She doesn't identify as Aboriginal. And how dare the department racial profile again? The assumption, right? Why would she go to an Aboriginal healthcare service or support centre service when she does not identify as Aboriginal? Why is she on the cashless debit card when she was in a women's refuge in WA? Why was she basically under duress, threatened to move to Ceduna or Bundaberg, cashless debit card areas, and put on the cashless debit card? Enough's enough, right? These people need off the card. And thank you to Penny Wong's office for trying to get the department to get off their butt. But unfortunately, the wrong social worker has rang on this one. We have sent this person the wellbeing exemption document that we have to help her, but she needs a support worker, and she's going to organise that herself, that can print it off and help her get they wanted 2 years worth of bank statements, and they wanted 2 years worth of school attendance records for her children, which is impossible because we've been through COVID and the kids have had a lot of time off. One of her children is immunocompromised, right? And they're just stuffing her around. She needs to have somebody to do that, okay? And they're not helping her at all. Not helping at all. It shows that the supposed social workers that Services Australia have are not real support workers. They're not social workers. They can't be, if they can be so horrible to people and not do their job as a social worker. Okay? And this woman made it very clear. She's not going to email this lady with clear instructions of what is needed, what they're requesting. This lady has asked very clearly, could you please send it to me in an email with a dot point list of what I require and what I need to do, so that I can give that to my social worker so that they can get that organised. No. Right? I am not willing to write that down for you, was the words used. Disgusting. All right, guys, I'll let you go. That's the updates at the moment. Yeah, Tim says they're Serco workers. Yeah. No hearts, none of them. None of them. I know that there is a couple of good social workers in those offices. So I've had people that have got them, and they have helped people through with what they've needed. But they get chastised for doing it. They get bullied for doing it. Do you know what I mean? But that's their job, to do it. You know, but then you run up against the ones like this, and we've run up against those before that don't want to do their job. That, I mean, how dare she racially profile this woman and then assume that she was a vulnerable Aboriginal when that wasn't the case whatsoever. Anyway, we will keep pushing. She will keep plodding along. It's very difficult. All we can do is day by day. It's disgusting. You know, all these people having these problems. You know, it's just getting ridiculous. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'll talk to you a bit later. We'll have to... this person will try and contact other support workers to get involved from her side, and we'll keep pushing. But it's very obvious the department doesn't want anybody to apply for opt-outs or wellbeing exemptions of any form. They're making it as difficult as possible. I mean, they don't care the impact that it has. It's disgusting. But, I mean, this is denying people access to medicine again. You know? Thanks, Tim. I am taking care of myself. I am. I promise I am. I went out today. It was a bit humid. My lungs didn't like how much moisture was in the air, that's for sure. Yeah, it's just that sort of weather at the moment, so it's affecting my breathing. I don't have air conditioning. Living in community public housing, if I want air conditioning, I've got to pay for it myself, no matter what my health is, and I can't afford air conditioning, so I just have to suffer. And I don't get my medical electricity rebate because the condition of being able to access that is that you must have a split system reverse cycle in your property. So therefore, that excludes the very people that need it the most, which are people like me on disability support pensions, living in public or community housing. Go figure. Yeah. Anyway, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll keep you updated whatever comes up next, and we'll talk to you later. See ya.